Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are easily the two best parks I've ever been to. Now, this is for four main reasons. One, the ride lineup. Two, the shows. Three, the food options. And four, the theming and atmosphere. So if you want to hear me elaborate on all four of those topics and explain more on why Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are the best parks I've ever been to, stay tuned and watch this whole video. So let's first start with Dollywood's kosher lineup. So you have Wild Eagle, in my opinion, one of the best wing koshers out there. Lightning Rod, one of the best airtime filled koshers out there, period. And plus it also has a launched lift hill, which is very unique for a wooden kosher. And then you also have Thunderhead, which though it's a little bit rough, it's personally my favorite GCI I've ever ridden. And I've ridden a good amount of those. And then you also have Whistlepunk Chaser, a solid kitty kosher. You have Dragonflyer and Firechaser Express, which those are both very different family koshers, but they're both very good. And also on the topic of family koshers, you have their most recent addition, their new for 2023 Big Bear Mountain, which I have not ridden, but it personally looks to be a pretty solid family kosher overall. So Dollywood has some amazing family koshers. And as for other koshers, you have Tennessee Tornado. They're old but still decent looping kosher. You have Mystery Mine, which is their Gerstlauer Eurofighter that has a beyond vertical drop and ends with a bang with two incredible inversions, though the rest of the ride is just fine in my opinion, though it has some amazing theming. Then finally you have Blazing Fury, which is their indoor kosher. That's their oldest operating kosher, and though it's not super thrilling, it is a pretty fun ride that's very story driven. So overall, Dollywood has a great kosher lineup with some great rides that also has a ton of variety. So now let's move on to Silver Dollar City's kosher lineup. Now, one thing I've noticed with Silver Dollar City's kosher lineup compared to Dollywood is it definitely is more quality focused than quantity, as there's much less quantity, but all the rides here are quality attractions, which you just can't say about Dollywood. Now, with Silver Dollar City's kosher lineup, you have their most unique attraction, which is easily Time Traveler, which is a spinning launch kosher that goes upside down 3 times, has 2 launches, and a 90-foot and 90-degree drop out of the station, which let me just tell you, in the back row is pretty legit awesome. Then you also have a great Mine Train family kosher in Thunderation, which heads all the way down the hillside, picking up some great speed and is overall a very fun family kosher. Though it's a little bit jerky, it's still fairly smooth for its age, and it's still a great ride. Then you have, in my opinion, their best kosher, which is Outlaw Run. Now this is the same type of kosher as Lightning Rod, so you would expect the same great airtime and the same great terrain usage, but Outlaw Run does have 3 excellent inversions, including a double barrel roll that gives you insane hang time. And let me just tell you, this is true with both Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, but especially with Outlaw Run, and that's the night rides on Outlaw Run and all the other koshers at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are just simply incredible. Like, at least for Outlaw Run in particular, I rode that at night in pitch black darkness in the back row, and let me just tell you, that was a heavenly ride experience. You could not see a thing, you're flying through the attraction, getting crazy airtime, getting thrown all over the place, and it's just wild not being able to see anything. So I highly recommend getting night rides on Dollywood and Silver Dollar City's koshers. So moving on to Silver Dollar City's other koshers, you have the B&M sit-down looper Wildfire, which is a fun ride with 5 pretty good inversions and probably one of the most scenic koshers I've ever seen. And then you also have their Kitty Kosher Grand Exposition kosher, which is nothing special but a solid kosher to get them kids started on. Then you have probably their second most unique kosher besides Time Traveler, and that being Powder Keg. Now, what makes this thing unique is because it started out as a water kosher known as Buzzsaw Falls, but then Silver Dollar City decided to convert it into a launch kosher that also features a lift hill. And other things that make Powder Keg pretty unique is it has a pretty punchy launch too. Like, this thing goes from like 0 to 53 miles per hour in like 2 seconds, which is pretty darn powerful. Then you also have a layout full of surprising airtime, like you would expect for like a B&M hyper kosher, like for example Mako. And then you also have a lift hill halfway through, which after that lift hill, you have a solid drop and then like a helix into the brake run, which that's nothing really special, but Powder Keg is a super unique ride. And overall, I think Silver Dollar City's coaster lineup is on par with Dollywood's. Though it's lacking in the variety department, it definitely has more quality than Dollywood's coaster lineup. But overall, both parks excel in their coaster collections. Moving on to other attractions Dollywood has to offer. As for flat rides, you have Barnstormer, which is their S&S Scream and Swing, which is a fun swing ride. It's not super intense, but it gives some very good flow to airtime. And then you have Dropline, which easily gives one of the best views of any drop tower out there, and also gives a very nice drop with some great weightlessness and airtime. And as for their water rides, you have easily one of the best log flumes that I've ever ridden in Daredevil Falls, which has a very scenic course plus a crazy final drop that actually gives a pinch of airtime, especially if you're in the back. Then you also have their most soaking water ride in Smoky Mountain River Rampage. Now, I haven't ridden this attraction in a while, but it is a pretty solid river rapids ride. Nothing crazy special, but like with Daredevil Falls, you have some great scenery and some pretty solid rapids and waterfalls and whatnot. So overall, Dollywood has a very solid ride lineup that's not including coasters. So as for Silver Dollar City's ride lineup, for flat rides, you have their indoor drop tower, which is Firefall. Now this drop tower will launch you up and then bounce you for a bit before bringing you back down to ground. Now it's nothing like crazy intense or anything, but the launch up is sure to get your stomach a bit, and it also gives a decent pop of airtime once you reach the top. And then you also have the giant barn swing, which is literally the same exact swing ride as Barnstormer. Like they literally ride the exact same. So everything I said about Barnstormer applies to the giant barn swing. It's still a great ride, and that is a great fit for Silver Dollar City. And as for water rides, now I personally haven't done Silver Dollar City's water rides, but American Plunge looks like a pretty solid log flume with some pretty good landscaping like Daredevil Falls. And Mystic River Falls, the reason I haven't done that is because it actually opened a year after I went to Silver Dollar City. And fun fact, I'm not joking about this, but when I went to Silver Dollar City in the summer of 2019 and saw the open plot of land that they used for Mystic River Falls, I was thinking the park was going to add a River Rapids ride. And sure, I was right about that. Now, I did not know it was going to be similar to Infinity Falls. And because of how Mystic River Falls looks very similar to Infinity Falls, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just as good or better. And if you don't know, Infinity Falls is my personal favorite River Rapids ride I've ever ridden, just because of the great rapids, the final drop adding some nice variety, and the landscaping, which Mystic River Falls seems to have all that, but make it even better. So I bet Mystic River Falls is one of the best River Rapids rides, though I'm not sure. But overall, Silver Dollar City, like its sister park in Dollywood, has a great ride lineup other than roller coasters. So now, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City would not be complete without their various unique attractions. At both parks, you have various craftsmen where you can see doing various activities like blowing glass, woodworking, blacksmith work, and whatnot. And then you also have a 19th century schoolhouse to explore. Honestly, I would argue you have one of the most unique attractions at both parks, and that being an actual church. Yes, you can go to a church service on Sundays at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. They have church services at both 10 and 11 a.m. on Sundays. And now I haven't experienced any of these church services. It's definitely on my bucket list for when I return to Silver Dollar City or Dollywood. Now moving on to Silver Dollar City's unique attractions, they have a shooting dark ride that Dollywood removed a long time ago, known as the Flooded Mine. This isn't a super special shooting dark ride as it's a decently old attraction, but the basic story is that like you're trying to save a mine from overly flooding, and it's overall a very solid shooting dark ride. As for Silver Dollar City's most unique attraction, you have Marvel Cave, which is this massive cave underneath Silver Dollar City. Now, there's a few things to note with Marvel Cave. One, there's some pretty tight clearances you'll have to squeeze through that are only 4 feet high and 4 feet wide. And also, another thing to note, Marvel Cave goes pretty deep, so it can be a massive trek to get in and out of Marvel Cave. Now, as for my experience, I've actually never did Marvel Cave because at the time when I went to Silver Dollar City, I was recovering from a recent leg surgery, so that's why I didn't get to do Marvel Cave. Now, it's definitely on my bucket list for when I return to Silver Dollar City, though. And moving on to Dollywood's unique attractions, many of their unique attractions are focused on the person the park is named after, the country music legend Dolly Parton. And to exemplify that, you can explore Dolly Parton's history from her childhood to her legendary country music career in the Chasing Rainbows Museum near the park's entrance. And then also throughout the park, you can explore Dolly Parton's childhood home in her Tennessee mountain home. And sadly, this was removed. But not long ago, you could explore Dolly Parton's tour bus. I think I got to do it a while back, but I don't remember. But it is a pretty cool experience, not gonna lie. And then also, one thing Dollywood has that Silver Dollar City can't compete with is the Eagle Sanctuary, where you can see various eagles flying around and is an overall very cool experience backed by wild eagles. So let's move on to dining. Now, Silver Dollar City and Dollywood are two of the only parks I would ever think of eating at. Because most parks have average to subpar food, but that is not the case with Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. These parks have some truly incredible food. Like, you can literally eat anywhere and it's gonna be good. As for Silver Dollar City's and Dollywood's food, considering that Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are themed to Southern culture, a lot of their food is very Southern food. So you get a lot of barbecue, fried chicken, a lot of homemade stuff. But just be aware, if you don't want that kind of food, they do offer more traditional food options like burgers and hot dogs and whatnot. Now, what both Silver Dollar City and Dollywood are most known for is their cinnamon bread. The cinnamon bread at both parks is different though. Now, I did myself a major disservice in not getting the cinnamon bread at Silver Dollar City, though I was stupid and didn't know where it was located. Now, if you don't want to repeat my mistake like I made at Silver Dollar City, the cinnamon bread at Silver Dollar City is located right near Mystic River Falls. And at Dollywood, it's located right near Barnstormer at the grist mill. And now there is a difference between Dollywood and Silver Dollar City's cinnamon bread. And that's, well, Dollywood cinnamon bread is very plain and kind of boring. It's still very good, but with Silver Dollar City's cinnamon bread, they have different flavors like apple cinnamon and apparently a time traveler flavor. I don't know what that has on it, but I'd like to try it. And the main difference is that Silver Dollar City's cinnamon bread does have like extra frosting and whatnot, which will already make this great treat even better. Now, as for shows at Silver Dollar City and Dollywood, both these parks are seriously known for their shows, and it's another reason why you can visit these parks and not do any rides and you still can have a great time. Now, as for the shows at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, they mainly focus on singing and dancing, and considering the southern roots of both these parks, much of the singing and dancing shows is focused on country, bluegrass, and folk music. Now, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City do have their unique shows. Now, with Silver Dollar City, you have like 2 or 3 shows that are more focused on comedy, and as for Dollywood, they have an Eagle show. And also with Silver Dollar City and Dollywood, you also have plenty of seasonal shows that will give you a bunch of reasons to return to the parks during the year, which I will discuss later on in this video. Now let's move on to the theming and festivals of both parks, which both these parks have festivals all year long. So you have a summer festival, a spring festival, amazing Christmas events at both parks, a fall festival, basically everything you could ask for. At least for me, I visited Dollywood during Smoky Mountain Christmas, which is honestly one of the best Christmas events I've ever been to. Has some amazing shows related to our Lord and Savior Jesus' birth. Amazing lights, like the whole park is decked out with a ton of lights, Christmas trees and whatnot. And I've also visited Dollywood during their Flower Festival, which is the one pictured to the right with all the umbrellas. Now that's in like late spring. And I got to experience Silver Dollar City during their Moonlight Madness event, which is easily the time I recommend visiting Silver Dollar City, which that time is like late July, early August. And the reason you want to experience this park during that time is the parks open very late, sometimes even to midnight, and that's how I was able to get that insane Outlaw Run night ride, which is something I highly recommend everybody watching this video experience. And as for theming at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, it's very similar at both parks, though it's slightly different, as Silver Dollar City is more themed to like an old-fashioned 1880s American town, while with Dollywood, it's just the theme to Southern culture in general, though it is very similar between both parks and nearly indistinguishable. Another thing to note with Dollywood and Silver Dollar City's theming is that much of the park is just one giant theme. You have very few areas within the parks that are generally distinct from one another, which personally I prefer that over the kind of theming you get at the Disney or Universal parks where it's like distinct areas, because then with like parks like Dollywood and Silver Dollar City, all the theming just blends in and there's a bunch of cohesion throughout the park. So let's move on to the final reason why I believe Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are so worth it, and that comes down to their ticket pricing. Now, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City are not cheap, but they're also not horribly expensive as well, and they're definitely worth the price of admission. So as for Silver Dollar City, the one-day ticket prices for the summer is $85 per adult, and then for Dollywood, it's $89 per adult. And one thing to note with Dollywood is if you want to visit their water park Splash Country, you can add that to any Dollywood ticket for $10 extra. Now, for that 85 to 90 buck ticket price, it's not cheap, but it's 100% worth it considering everything I've talked about in this video. Now, for some sad news, Dollywood and Silver Dollar City used to offer an amazing ticket option where if you came to the park after 3 p.m., you would be able to get the next day free, which this is so worth it. You could have literally gotten 1.5 days for the price of 1 day. Now, for those of you who are curious, it has been discontinued as both parks ended it after the 2019 season. And from personal experience, visiting both Dollywood and Silver Dollar City using that ticket, it's definitely one of the best deals I've ever seen when it comes to tickets. As both these parks, you're doing yourself a disservice at Dollywood and Silver Dollar City if you decide to only spend 1 day here, as like I've mentioned throughout this video, there's so much amazing stuff to do at both these parks that you'll definitely want at least 2 days at these parks. Which thankfully, adding an extra 2 days or 3 days to your visit is actually relatively affordable compared to most other parks, which just adds to the amazing value of both Dollywood and Silver Dollar City. So I just want to thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my video comparing Dollywood and Silver Dollar City to see which park is truly better. Also remember to like and share this video to anybody who will either be in Branson or Pigeon Forge anytime soon. And also remember to subscribe to Southeastern Thrills, and peace.